Hello everyone, welcome to Depression Quest. This is an interactive non-fiction game about dealing with depression. Be aware that if you are suicidal or actually suffering from depression, this is a very serious game that was made by Zoe Quinn, Patrick Lindsay, and Isaac Shanker about actually being in and living with depression. The goal of this game, as they say here, is illustrating as clear as possible what depression is like so it can be better understood by people without depression. Hopefully it can be something to spread awareness and fight against the social stigma of misunderstandings of depression that depression sufferers face. Secondly, our hope is that presenting a real simulation of depression as possible, other sufferers will come to know that they aren't alone and hopefully derive some measure of comfort from that. And I think for the most part they will too. I'm actually, sometimes have depression because, why not? Like I do. It's just how it works. So we're gonna go start the game here. If you feel like helping, please donate to the National Suicide Prevention Line. Alright. It's early on a Monday morning. You are a mid-20s human being with a significant other named Alex. So from what I've scouted about this, we're able to click these and see more about Alex. You met Alex through a mutual friend a few months back. The two of you hit it off pretty well, and after a series of initially awkward dates, you finally become a couple. Much to your surprise and excitement, Alex is 3 months younger than you are and is currently a student at a part-time job and broad social circle. She's got a wide variety of interests, and oftentimes you worry that you might be too boring for her, but she has been good at trying to reassure you that she's happy with you. That's a sign right there, is not feeling good enough for someone. Your relationship consists of a lot of nights of watching Netflix when you've both gotten off work and she doesn't have classes. The occasional social outing that she tends to have to talk you into attending. She tries to be understanding when you are in one of your moods, as she puts it, though you start to feel like she doesn't understand what it's like for you. This is the source of tension in your relationship, coupled with your reluctance to want to go out to college parties. This feeds your worry of not being exciting enough for them. So that's more about our relationship with Alex, another slightly younger female that we are in a relationship that you're rather fond of, that you've been seeing exclusively for the past few months. The rest of your social circle, which we can dive into now, because why not, consists of a variety of friends and acquaintances. Social circle consists of a few close friends, some of which you've known since high school, and some of the jobs that you've worked. You've also made acquaintances through reluctantly going to social events with Alex, and you keep in touch with a few friends of friends that you occasionally run into. You also have several online friends that you talk to regularly. You feel less guarded with the possibility due to communicating from the safety of behind a keyboard. You enjoy the low commitment of the friendships, since they don't expect very much of you other than to listen and share personal thoughts and experiences. Despite the low commitment, you feel fairly connected to these people, and tend to be more honest with them than people you interact with in real life and on a daily basis. You feel incredibly nervous trying to make new friends on your own, and you are very good at talking yourself out of going to unfamiliar places or large social engagements, regardless of how much you might actually want to attend. Meeting new people stresses you out to a high degree, and it's something you wish you could work past, which is actually pretty understandable. Large gatherings can be mildly nerve-wracking, and I understand where I am coming from. I as in the game. Is that beer? Yeah, it looks like some type of beer. You make a bad habit of flaking on social engagements with longtime friends and are puzzled as to why days you just can't force yourself to see people that you really care about. Those that have stuck around long enough to be that close with you understand that this is a thing you do sometimes, and have seemed to more or less accept it even though they chide you for it on occasion. However, you've had friends in the past that give up trying to maintain a friendship with you because of this trait, taking your social anxieties as a personal slight, or eventually getting tired of trying to track you down all the time. You feel incredibly guilty about this, but not quite sure how to change. Alright, let's go back. Some of whom you've met at your daily job, which is a little boring, but it pays the rent. Yes, computer jobs. Your job is nothing special. You started out receiving minimum wage, stayed long enough to make enough to support yourself. The work is dull and unrewarding. That sounds like mine, currently. Doing administrative work, but you know, there's that. Most days you feel like just about anybody could do it, which is very true, for sure. You've heard time relating to most of your co-workers. Mostly keep to yourself and get work done while you're there. There are one or two people you chat with, though you wouldn't consider yourself close with them. Also true with me. A lot of days recently, you've had a really hard time getting out of bed and forcing yourself to go in. You're starting to wonder how you can keep this up. How long you can keep this up. You'd really like to find another job in your field of interest, which I am doing, though. So see, I do actually have depression, right? But like, I'm trying to work through it still and push through, create a better support network for myself so I don't fall back into a consistent depression. There are nights I just can't control it. But for the most part, I'm working towards. It's rough, it's difficult, but I'm doing my best to stay there. To get to that point. Sometimes you think about going back to school, but unsure how you would be able to support yourself, and one of the degree would really help anyway. Yeah. Valid. You'd like to be doing more with your life, as would your parents. You're one of the few people who, you know, whose parents never got divorced. But you do wonder if they love each other sometimes. You have an older brother named Malcolm who has moved across the country with his wife to work a high-paying job. Every major holiday you see him at, you feel a little jealous and like the lesser kid, despite being genuinely happy to see him. You're very ashamed of these feelings. Your parents genuinely care about you. This involves inviting you back to your childhood home for dinner, though your mother thinks you never quite visit enough. But you get the impression they don't fully understand you. They want to see you succeed and don't know why you haven't gotten farther in life, because you're so smart and talented. Anytime you've tried to talk to them about your motivation issues, they tell you that the solution is simply to work harder. And that's actually, honestly, narrator note, that's a little harsh there, in my opinion, at least, for a parent to just kind of turn you down like that quickly. I don't know, that's just me. This involves getting back to your child at home, smart and talented. Anytime you've tried to talk to them about, your father is generally more forgiving of your lack of a career path, while your mother seems to think you're too smart to be in the position you're in. You know they love you and that they're not bad people, but you really feel like a big disappointment sometimes. I get this isn't about me, but you know everybody puts their own "this is me" into the games and stuff. So this is what I'm doing at this point. But you're still in the process of figuring out what that means and how to go about it. You're also dealing with motivation issues that sometimes makes dealing with things difficult. You find this is You feel like this is probably your fault. On bad days, you feel inwardly angry and down on yourself for being lazy, but you are not quite sure how you can break out of it, or how other people would deal with these feelings, and seem so very functional. You spend a lot of nights fixating on about this, and never seem to do anything other than lose sleep. I'm gonna turn this up just a little bit if I can, just so I can see better. Yeah, that seems better. It's not amazing, but it's better. Alright, and onwards we go. Oh, yep, alright. I might as well zoom in a little bit then, because I don't see why not. What's this? What is this one for me? Okay. It's an unseasonably warm Wednesday evening. You spent the past several hours at work. The past week or so you found your job motivating, flagging, more so than usual. You've been in a fog practically all day today, simply going through the motions without even realizing what you've been doing half the time. And yet things seem to be moving at half speed. You're so checked out that when your boss approaches you to tell you that it's dead and you can go home early, it barely registers. As you walk home, the streets hiss with this recent rainfall. You know that your significant other, Alex, will be in classes until late, another couple hours at least. You briefly consider the serendipitous solitude to catch up on that project you've been working on haphazardly for the past few months. A while back, some of your old friends were out at a bar, liquefying considerably more of your paycheck than perhaps responsible, ending up thoroughly in cups. You consider yourself close to ending up launching into a drunken tirade about the meaninglessness of your utterly menial job and ultimately your own existence. Having never really seen you in a state before, your friends were briefly taken aback by your sudden, uncharacteristic outburst. One of your friends suggested that you should get involved with a hobby on a more regular, long-term basis, something that spending your energy on something you actually care about might help you better to cope with the unfortunate situation of your 9 to 5. Although you were embarrassed that you let your guard down, you felt self-conscious about having to single-handedly brought down a mood at the table. You convinced yourself on the cab ride home that maybe it would be worth trying out. You began a project sometimes months ago, managing to keep it up, though your level of motivation and subsequent efforts rise and fall considerably. You were surprised when you started out how good it felt to actually work on something you were passionate about. Lately, you found it hard to muster the energy to really care about even this. And I feel like that's kind of the path I'm going on down YouTube right now. It seems like quite a bit of, man, this is a nice project to keep me distracted, but it doesn't really feel like, man, this is something that like might actually turn into something. Because right now I have 6 people following me. Like, nobody's commenting, nobody's trying to reach out, nobody is actually interested at all. It's just a project that I'm doing because I want to do it, but nobody else seems to care. And, you know, I mean, I'm one person out of several billion, right? And, like, most of these people don't even have internet connection. But, like, all I'm trying to say is I don't really feel like this is going to go anywhere, but it's at least kind of cool to think of it as a possibility. Maybe putting something up every week in the future. I know I'm doing a lot now, but I'm trying to schedule everything out so it slowly releases, like, water falling from a lake, from a waterfall, you know? It's slow and consistent, but eventually it'll dry up until more motivation comes. But yeah, anyways, back to this. As soon as you think about the work that awaits you at home, you can feel the panic creeping in at the back of your brain. Unbidden, all you can think about is how incredibly far behind you are. The amount of work seems nothing less than insurmountable. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing you down already like a heavy, wet wool blanket. Ugh, that sounds gross. Uh, your computer seems to be staring you down from your desk. You want to sit down and work, but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you suddenly feel absolutely exhausted and feel a strong desire to simply hide in bed. Do you order some food, grab a drink, hunker down, and get ready for a night of work? That's right. That's how depression works. It's just you don't even have the option. Your depressed interaction is exhausting, and you're becoming more and more withdrawn. You are not currently seeing a therapist. You're not currently taking medication for depression. Feel the need to hide in bed. Okay, so reluctantly sit down at your desk and try to make yourself do something. That's pointless. That's if you're gonna try and make yourself, that's not gonna be beneficial. Turn on the TV, telling yourself you just need a quick half hour to unwind from work, which is just gonna end up turning into a full session of sitting at the TV, not doing anything, just watching YouTube until it's too late to do anything. Crawl into bed. You're so stressed. You're overwhelmed. I can't possibly accomplish anything anyways. As much as you like the idea of getting work done tonight, the amount of catching up you have to do instantly freezes you up. The longer you stare at your computer, the higher your stress levels rise until you're on the verge of a full-blown panic attack. Not even wandering into the living room to try to watch TV relaxes you. You soon succumb to the mental and physical exhaustion and crawl into bed, making a point to close your laptop before you turn the light out. You lay in bed for some time, feeling disappointed in your own inability to be productive before finally passing out. Picture of keyboards, okay. You wake up in the morning from a sleep that was far from restful. In fact, it seems impossible, but you're more tired than you were before you went to sleep last night. As you pick up a phone to shut off your alarm, you see a handful of text messages from Alex, that you apparently missed last night. 2 missed calls. Text message: hey, I tried calling you when I got out of class, but I guess you're sleeping? Anyway, I hope you had a good day at work, and I hope you're able to get some stuff done when you got home. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I get out of class early. Night, babe. I love you. Okay, so these are things that they want us to try and work towards, which I understand. I actually encourage this too. I am not taking medication, but I'm trying my best to use tea to help me sleep. Getting between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. I'm doing my best. Oh boy. Okay. It's a mild Friday afternoon. Alex calls you from one of her classes, telling you that there's going to be a really awesome birthday party tonight at her apartment that one of her roommates is throwing. You've hung out with this roommate a few times with Alex, and you get along well enough, but you aren't particularly close. You don't have work in the morning and nothing else particular to do tonight. You are feeling kind of run down, but you have been fatigued most of the time lately. You mentioned that you're feeling ill, but not sure how else to explain things to someone else, and say that you aren't sure that you can make it tonight. There's a second of silence over the phone, but you swear you can hear the sound of your partner's face fall. She's trying to convince you anyway. You haven't seen her this week. She sounds pretty insistent you come over. She even drops a few suggestively worded hints that you can stay over with him tonight after the party. Shake off, yeah. Like, the options that we all know we want, but actually being able to click it, right? To choose the option we know is right, especially in a depressive situation, is something that's not going to happen. I'm an introvert. I wouldn't want to go, but I also don't want to disappoint Alex. You know, I really care about her. She really cares about me. I'm going to go too. You agree to go too, even though you're not really feeling social. You know it's important to Alex, and you'd really like to see her. Seeing her does make you feel better sometimes, and you hope with that in the case of tonight, it means dealing with, even if it does mean dealing with all the usual social anxiety. The time to leave rolls around and you grab your overnight bag. Alex's apartment is a short walk away. There are already people hanging out on the porch. You feel your chest tighten as you approach the building. You try to still your nerves. You quickly find your partner chatting away with a birthday girl. Alex immediately lightens up when she sees it. I'm so happy you came. I wasn't sure if you were going to actually make it. A young man taps her on the shoulder. She turns back to you to apologize and let you know that they have something to do for the party. Alex hands you a beer, plants a kiss on your cheek, before going off to deal with whatever came up. As you look around, you don't see anybody else you recognized. Awkwardly stand in the same spot, not sure what else to do, enthusiastically socialize, put your bag in Alex's room, avoid the crowd there for a while, cling to the back wall, sip your beer and wait for your girlfriend to return, proceed to drink in earnest, hoping it makes you feel less uncomfortable. So alcohol is actually a depressant. I've experienced this at parties. I've had a drink before at a party, and I ended up going to sleep and crying in the room by myself that night. So it's not something that you really want to do at a party. It's just going to ruin it. This is also going to ruin it. Sipping your beer. I mean, it's not necessarily terrible. That's not a bad option. The top 2 through 4 aren't super bad. Well, 2 is. But one of these 2 aren't bad. It all depends on whether you're introverted or extroverted. For me, I'm introverted, so I will avoid the crowds if I can. You take your beer, shift through the crowd until you arrive at Alex's room. The room is actually empty of other partygoers. You sit on her bed as you set your own bag down. Thankful for the personal space, at least. And feeling a lot less claustrophobic, you mess around on your phone while you sip your beer, which is definitely something that I would actually do at a party, you know? You keep telling yourself you'll go back out in 5 more minutes, but every time that time rolls around, you feel a panic attack creep in, and you stay rooted to the spot. That's not something that I have, but I completely understand that that's a thing that happens. And if you have these things, like, I understand there's not really much you can do, but just talk with people when they're near you and tell them what's in your mind, even if they don't necessarily understand. A few minutes later, Alex comes into the room. Oh, there you are. I was wondering where you've gone off to. I figured you might be here. She sits down on the bed next to you, buzzed enough, but to be slurring slightly. I'm real glad you turned up tonight, to be honest. I really didn't think you'd show. It's really cool you did. Really. You know she meant it lovingly, but you're not sure how you feel about that statement. Yeah, depression's like nullifies. For those of you who don't really understand, but you're not quite sure how you feel about that statement, a lot of times when you're in a depressive mood, people still telling you nice things just dissipates. Like, it doesn't matter. Honestly, actions do better. Like cuddles, or a kiss on the cheek, or a hug, or just wrapping yourselves in blankets together and just sitting and staring at the ceiling. Stuff like that is nice stuff. Alright. It's a little afternoon on a muggy Saturday. Your mother has come over for a surprise visit, claiming loudly that she didn't see you enough, so she decided to invite herself over. Ooh, that's bad. Don't do that, Mom. No, like, that's... I get that you're trying to see your daughter, but... Yeah, see? As you converse, she walks around your place and you get the distinct impression that you're being inspected. Judged, right? Like, that's... Parents don't bother your kids if they're... Like, yeah, check up on them, call them, like... And if there's no response from them at all over a few days, right? Not immediately, but a few days, then you go over and actually check on them. Don't judge, don't look sad. I mean, I'm not saying don't look sad, right? Like, if you feel sad, be sad. But, like, don't go around judging your child. I know that sounds obvious, but we just want our kids to be happy, right? And we're doing our best with what we can. What's going on with you lately? Yeah, that's not helpful, Mom. She asks abruptly, taken somewhat aback by this left fielder. You tell her that you're not sure what she means. She repeats the question, saying that you haven't seemed like yourself lately. She gestures at the pile of dirty dishes in the sink and notes the fact that you haven't called or visited in a while. Your resistance only... Reticence? Reticence? A noun, quality of being... Not having one's own thoughts or feelings readily. Okay. That's valid. Alright. Only seems to spur her on more. She presses you, asking if you have problems at work or with Alex. You're beginning to feel increasingly battered by her sudden, well-meaning, well, I don't know about that, but overwhelming inquisition. Under her questions, you become increasingly uncomfortable. You want to be able to explain to her how you're feeling, but the truth is you're not really sure yourself. Nothing horrific happened at work with your significant others or friends like that at all. But all the same, you can't deny that lately you've just felt drained, as though you were not really here. You wish that you could tell your mother these things, but she hasn't been approachable about negative emotions in the past. She's the kind of person who holds to the opinion that the solution to any problem is to simply try harder and maintain a positive attitude. A stance that has reared its head in past conversations when you've begun to explore the subject with her. You know she's unlikely to be understanding, and you feel the energy drain out of you when you imagine what would happen if you managed to blurt out everything you're feeling. What do you do? Ah, yes, that's pretty accurate. Tell her you've been feeling down lately, but you appreciate her concern. Be honest with her anyway. Yeah, that's too much energy. I get that. Recording this after a full 8-hour day of work, man, it's exhausting. I just don't want to do anything. I want to go home. Well, I want to sit in my bed, just watch YouTube videos, eat mochi ice cream, you know? But I want to be a little productive and feel tired when my day's done. Not tired the entire day. Tired. Speaking of which, I'm actually gonna go get some coffee and you'll get to hear me water off. Got some chocolate-covered raisins, a banana. Ooh, I need water. I'll be right back. So tell her everything's fine, but thank you for asking. I honestly feel like thanking her for asking is the important thing, as opposed to telling her to change the subject. I'm okay, real. Mom, really, thanks for worrying about me. Your mother looks at you from across the room with furrowed brows and wonders if the tone of your voice was, and you wonder if the tone was that the least. Words are hard. Also, so is coffee. So here's a little sip for you for ASMR or whatever it's called. Yes, soothing. You wonder if the tone of your voice was at least a little bit convincing. She slightly opens her mouth as though she was about to say something more, but instead she digs through her purse for her cell phone, apparently having decided against it. Well, as long as you're okay, honey. Her voice trails off. As your mother returns to what amounts to more or less small talk, you realize that this part of the conversation has happened a lot recently. Someone will express concern for you, or simply ask if you're okay, seemingly out of nowhere. You tend to find it simpler to just declare that you're okay with it, rather than find the right words for complicated, murky feelings. Besides, since none of them are in a reaction to a significant event, maybe you actually are okay and just complaining about nothing anyways. Sometimes you insist that you are okay to whoever asks, and you wonder if you're trying to convince them or you. Yes. Okay. Is that a kitty? Kitty. Okay, good. It's a lazy Sunday morning, which is wonderful. You are idly clicking around online as your phone rings. Sam, a wonderful co-worker of yours that you're friendly with, asks how you are and makes hurried small talk. You typically only ever talk to him on the phone when one of you needs a shift covered, so it's slightly awkward. You're waiting in anticipation for her to ask you to come in on short notice when he veers the conversation in a completely different direction. How do you feel about cats? Yes. Mine have had kittens a few weeks ago, and I'm having an awfully hard time finding a home for the last one of the litter. You don't have any pets, right? Takes a moment for this new moment, the information to catch up. You're caught off guard as he begins to earnestly try to sell you on the idea of taking the last kitten off his hands. It's not something that you had specifically considered before, and he seems fairly insistent. She's a real sweetheart. She really loves people. She's got all her shots already taken care of, and the vet is saying that she's healthy as a horse. I can bring her over by your place tonight if you want it. You look around your apartment, trying to picture a cat in it. You should. Everybody should have a cat unless you're allergic to them. Even then, there's hypoallergenic cats, but let's not deal with that now. You don't have anything for the kitten set up here. Oh, don't worry about that. I can bring over a litter box and food and all that, since you'd really be helping me out in a fix. The least I could do is... That's the least I could do. Just, I don't want to leave her and put her in a shelter. You can't feel like you're being a little guilt-tripped. Ooh, cats. However, you're feeling so down it might not be a good idea to take the responsibility of a cat, even if it's fairly low maintenance. Become a cat owner, okay? I'm going to tell you why depressed people should have a cat. Easy companionship. Especially if it's a female cat, because the female cats are a lot less messy. Male cats sometimes piss everywhere because of their long banana. And so, I suggest you become a cat. I want to read the read out ones. Take the cat knowing full well you can take great care of it. Decline even though you'd be totally capable because you're not much of a cat person. That's false for everybody. They're all cat people. They just don't like to admit it. Become a cat owner and you could use the... Oh, baby kitty. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. It's my nickname, but I'm gonna use the name for the cat. I'm gonna call the baby kitty Misty. Unless the kitties... Look at that. All black smoke with little wisps of white. Oh. Okay. You accept the offer of the kitten and hang up shortly after making arrangements for when your co-worker drops her off tonight. After hanging up, you worry about if you suddenly take on the responsibility you can't handle and hope that making you don't make a small animal suffer for it. You're not entirely sure what to expect, and you spend the rest of the afternoon researching cat care online trying to think of a name. Misty! The evening rolls around, and you hear a knock at the door, startling you out of reading Wikipedia entirely too hard. You take possession of a small, terrified black and white kitten in a carrier, along with everything you need to take care of her. You take her to your bedroom, close the door, and open the carrier excitedly. She cowers in the back of it, and you back off, feeling slightly defeated, but you remember researching Introduction to Kitten of a New Home, and let her go to mess around on and you go to mess around on your computer, checking over, hopefully, to see if she comes out. She hides inside her cage, periodically making sorrowful cat howling sounds, which usually go along the lines of meow, 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 meow. Yeah, that's great for out of context, isn't it? For you to start worrying that she's already doesn't like you, but by the time you go to bed, she's curled up at the foot of it, eyeing you nervously before falling asleep. Over the next few days, you gain her trust, and she begins affectionately following you around, sleeping on you, and hopping up on you anytime you sit down to do some work. See, this is medication. Cats. Oh, cats. This is why I want to get a therapy cat, man. Just to get a nice, super affectionate cat like this, who's just really good at seeing people in distress and being open to being pet. A really excited cat, which usually don't happen. Usually cats are like introverts. They don't really like to meet new people, and I totally get that too. Gonna take a sip of coffee real quick, make it real loud and uncomfortable, as I've been talking for 40 minutes. Alright, let's hit the next button. It's late Friday afternoon, and quitting time is just around the corner. A bright day is giving way to a still temperate evening. You can hear your coworkers all around you anxiously making plans for their weekends, but zooming in made it worse. But you're really looking forward to it, just going home and resting after what's turned out to be a very long and taxing work week. Just before your shift ends, you get a call from Alex. It seems a group of your mutual friends are heading out to a nearby pub for dinner and drinks to celebrate at the end of the week. I want to know if you'd like to come along. Yes! If Alex wants you to go, man, it's going to be a little awkward. It'll be a little weird. You tentatively tell her that you're just too emotionally exhausted from the work week, and a social outing like that would just take too much out of you today. You encourage her to go and have a good time, since you know it's been a while since she's gone out with friends, but the effort feels futile since you know that she isn't going to go without you. A couple of hours later, the two of you find yourself in a similar position on the couch, watching comedy shows. Oh, this right here. It's a very close friend of mine. I remember doing this with her. We were just sitting on a couch together in her living room, watching comedy shows on Netflix, and oh, that's a very precious memory to me. Oh, that was good. A box of pizza open on the coffee table in front of you. As you look across the couch at her, you feel anxious. You feel bad about effectively forcing the two of you to stay in tonight again. While you are always appreciative of your partner's efforts to take your feelings into account and help make sure you're socially comfortable, you're sincerely worn out. You sincerely worry that you're holding her back from enjoying a more fulfilling relationship. She doesn't seem to enjoy spending. She does seem to enjoy spending time with you as the two of you in comfortable, almost content, silent, watching old shows that you've seen 2 or 3 times before. Your ever increasing fear that your relationship is becoming one-sided weighs more and more heavily on you. You feel that more than ever like a burden or a wart to her. It's virtually impossible for you to see that what value you could possibly offer her in return. Worst of all, this nagging fear has made you more self-conscious than ever, withdrawing even inwards, and you've started to pull away from even Alex herself. Do you? Tell how so important she is to you and you're enjoying your evening. Tell her the relationship and you resolve to always be there for her like she has been for you. Communication. Netflix. 33. Okay, let's scroll in here, and I'm gonna try and. I want to leave the names there if I can. That's alright. We'll leave it here. You look over at Alex, who hasn't noticed you watching her yet. You try to phrase. You tried to parse the expression on her face. Parse, by the way, is to examine or analyze. Analyze their roles. Parsing, syntax analysis, statistical analysis, process of string of symbols. Basically, like, you're analyzing her super bad. Well, not bad, but yeah. The expression on her face, you worry that it's one of sheer boredom and bear tolerance. You wonder if that what. Boy, words are hard. You wonder if she's thinking about all the fun things she could have been doing tonight if she wasn't trapped on this couch with you. Ordering the same kind of 3 takeout places that you always order from. A sense of disappointing her creeps over you as you picture what the night would have been like if you had just accepted the invitation she made earlier. I know this is a pretty boring Friday night for you. Are you really happy being here with me? Being like this? She turns to look at you, forehead wrinkled. Why do you ask me that so often? You feel her body stiffen and pull away from yours just a little. Well, I mean, you start to not be able to think of how to answer. It's probably silly, but it's reassuring when I hear we're on the same page. I want to make sure I'm right for you. I know it's not what you'd usually be up to. I don't know. Never mind's not the right answer. Just straight up, the answer is no. I don't know. I guess I get kind of worried that you're getting bored sometimes. I think that's the right answer. I don't know. I know it's not what you'd usually be up to. Yes, this. What you were thinking. Alex sighs. Look, if that were the case, I would let you know. I don't think you're boring. I think you're more of a homebody than I am, and I'm learning to deal with that. Deal with it? You think? Repeating in your mind, deal with it? Does she see you as a problem to be dealt with? And by deal with that, she doesn't mean what you're thinking in your head. What she means is, I'm learning to get accustomed to your way of life. I'm trying to be there for you. Just like you can be there for me. And I get that my lifestyle can be a little bit much, says Alex. And I kind of see what the social dynamic aspect here that's kind of splitting you guys apart is your worry. But honestly, Alex, you're doing great, and the mysterious you, I know it's hard right here in the situation where you have no reason to be doubting her, but you still do anyway. You try to pick apart her reply, and we're going back into this. I'll just say we're right here, right? Yeah. And all of your conclusions lead to your previous worry that you're holding her back. You begin thinking that the phrasing was chosen without too much deliberation, and that despite her attempts at reassuring you, this slip of the tongue might reveal her true feelings. As you picture how much fun she would be having right now if you had only accepted her invitation, managed to somehow get over with your reservations and anxieties despite not knowing how you would do that, she cuddles back up to you. Oh, it's so cute. She cuddles back up to you. Thanks for putting up with me, you say, staring at the TV without actually watching it. She sighs in response. Now, careful, right? Because this is not your activities even hold little interest. These two are very important. They keep reoccurring. What? Okay. They keep recurring because they're important. Medication for depression is actually super easy to come by. I've actually been getting slightly better in my frequency, so I haven't been taking any medication hoping that it actually continues that way. I haven't taken medication in a while. There have been waves of depression, but usually they've been caused by some kind of trigger event. It's usually more on the seasonal depression side, so it's more when the environment is dark as opposed to consistently. But anyways, it's a breezy Sunday afternoon. You've allowed Amanda, an old friend from school that is in town this week, to talk to you into leaving house for coffee and catch up. You meet her in a small cafe and talk about what you've been up to since you've last seen each other, but you can't feel like they're a lot more accomplished and interesting than you are. While listening to them talk about their life after school, when it's your turn to brief them on your activities, you feel anxious and ashamed at your very abbreviated version. You try to talk to them about your job as little as possible. You feel incredibly boring while you describe it, despite her expressing sincere interest in you and your life. Amanda has known you long enough to read your moods and tone of voice, and she leans in to ask you a question while gently touching your hand, a look of genuine concern on her face. What's wrong? Do you suggest a change of location and confide in her honestly? You don't need to change location, but I get the whole wanting to open up about depression. Everybody's gonna understand what depression is. Like, you don't need to hide that from other people. You can openly talk about your depression. Test the waters and open up a little, hoping she'll understand. I get that too. Notice that your hands are shaking. Defensively ask what she means by that. That's wrong. Insist nothing's wrong and change the subject. That's wrong. Notice that your hands are shaking. That's the right answer, at least in my mindset. Right? It's just a small question, but it feels like a blow to the gut. You surprise yourself when you realize that your tightly clenched fists are now beginning to shake slightly. Despite your best efforts, you feel tears begin to sting at your eyes. You try to disguise this by tilting your head up and praying that they'll suck back in. She suggests that the two of you get out of here, and you feel mortified. She offers to go back to your apartment with you, but the two of you end up talking in her car for 2 hours as words just pour forth from you. Yeah, good communication. Seems unsure of what to say at sometimes, but she listens and rubs your back as you sob and talk. Perfectly fine. This is a good friend here. She asks if you've gone to see a doctor about this. You admit you haven't, as we've seen here. Mentions that her mother is a very good therapist in town and offers to ask her about it. You're not thrilled about the idea of going to a therapist, and even less thrilled that Amanda might be telling someone about your problems. But she's persistent and tells you that she'll email the doctor's contact information later in the week. Now, actually use that information, okay? This is a way for you to slowly build back up your confidence and talk about what the right methods are here, okay? I know that doing the right thing is hard sometimes. Knowing what the right thing to do, and a lot of people with depression know what the right thing to do is, but just the emotions are so overwhelming that it's just burdening. It's a glaringly sunny Monday, and one of the few days that you bother Malcolm. Oh, that your brother Malcolm is in town free long enough for you two to actually see each other. You have a dental appointment that day, but you make plans for him to pick you up afterwards. Your appointment takes a little longer than expected because your dentist tells you that you've started grinding your teeth in your sleep, which I do too, so I use a retainer to a worrying degree. Yeah, it's like the way apparently when I went into my dentist, it was super genuine, you know, like there was like I have my thing now. There's like dents carved into this really thick mold that's safe for my teeth. That's like showing how much I would have ground into my own teeth. Anyways, given how nearly everything in your life has started to feel enormously stressful, this doesn't come as a surprise to you. He suggests that you try to reduce your stress levels and fits you for a night guard. Yeah, that's what it is, not retainer, night guard. Feels awkward and too big for your mouth, it sure does. You feel embarrassed looking at your puffed out face in the mirror with it in. I mean, I felt that way for a little bit too, but what matters is that you're protecting your teeth for the future. You finish up your appointment in a hurry and leave about a half hour overdue for your meeting with your always punctual brother in the parking lot. You finish up as quickly as possible and leave the building to scan for your brother's car, but you don't see his old Civic anywhere. You pass by a blue Camaro and jump as it beeps at you, causing you to jump in surprise. You take a moment to realize it, but it's Malcolm in the driver's seat. You hop into the passenger seat and compliment him on his new ride, and he mentions it's a perk of a promotion that he's obtained recently at work, and he starts telling you about how much more money he's making, how his career is really taking off, how he's starting to look at houses with his wife soon. Oh boy. You clutch the bag containing the night guard in your hand, and you feel yourself clench your teeth as you think of your crummy apartment, how long it's been since you've been able to take a day off of work without having to worry about making ends meet. He's only 2 years older than you are, but it feels like he's eons ahead of you in every other aspect of your life. So, yes, how did your apartment go? Did it get drilled full of holes or what? A sense of creeping shame comes over you. Laugh about a dorky night guard. How your appointment for teeth, not appointment go. Tell him about the night guard and why you need it. Tell him about the tooth grinding problem, but not the stress causing it. If you're not going to be comfortable telling him the reasons, don't lie. There's no point to lying. Lying is bad. The dentist said apparently I grind my teeth too much when I sleep. Oh, I bet stressed out lately, kiddo? Oh. Deciding you won't really go into it, you tell him that you don't think it's the case and it's probably just some random thing. doesn't pry further, and instead begins reminiscing about the time you chipped a baby tooth because he accidentally knocked you over once. You go out for dinner and catch up on things, but you feel somewhat distracted by the gnawing anxiety in the back of your mind. Though you enjoy your brother's company, you still feel like you want nothing more than to go home and hide from the world tonight. It becomes harder for you to try to stuff all your horrible feelings down and go emotionless when someone like the dentist can see a fraction of what goes on inside your head. It leaves you feeling embarrassed and weak, and you hate yourself for feeling that way. You wonder if you're really fooling anyone into thinking you're a normal person. And then you wonder if your brother knows and is hanging out with you out of pity tonight. After he drops you back off at your appointment, you throw the night guard out. No! Keep the friggin' night guard! Oh my goodness. It's good for your teeth. Mumble grumble. Mumble grumble. Keep the night guard. Bad. 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 Keep the night guard. What? It's a dry Sunday morning. You grab your morning coffee and scoot your rapidly growing kitten off your office chair, and despite her protests, sit down at your desk and check your email. A new message pops up in your inbox almost as soon as you do. That's from Amanda, and you remember her meeting in the cafe, awkwardly bringing up your feelings, sir. Hey, buddy. Hey, sorry it's been a few weeks, but I thought that I might get this to you sooner, but it took a while for me to get a hold of my folks back home. My dad told me to say hi, by the way. Anyway, I remember what we talked about last time. I hope you don't feel insulted, but I asked for my mom's number for her therapist. Don't worry, I didn't tell her who it was for. I think she was worried about me now, though. Anyway, the number is boop. It's a really good office. You should look into it. Telling someone never hurts. If you're worried about money, don't be. They're one of the few that has a really good sliding scale fee system and won't charge you for what you can't afford. Hope you're feeling better, and it's glad to see you again soon. This is really important, by the way. Being able to have a scale fee system, especially for people who can't figure it out. It's still early enough that you could call and make an appointment today, the Curl, as you consider what you might do. Sleep on it, see how you're feeling in the morning. Call the number, call the therapist number, looking forward to seeing what help they can offer. Close the email without thinking about it. It's been embarrassing enough already. Nope, that one. That's the most positive answer I can think of. I like having it so I can't see what the, quote, answers are before I get there. The thought of picking up the phone and calling someone about this right now is overwhelming. Sure, they're having a hard time lately and have motivation issues, but are you really in need of therapy? Shouldn't you be able to just get over yourself? Or get over it yourself? What if they put you on medication that makes you feel like a zombie? If you go to a therapist, and the therapist looks down on you, what will Alex think about this? Trying to think about all these things at once makes it feel like a very big deal. You decide to take your time to think on it. The rest of the day passes quickly, and that night you have a hard time trying to sleep because your brain is too busy thinking about all these things, imagining all the ways it could possibly go wrong. The next morning you check your email again with a blurry eye sand and mewing kitten. Amanda's email is still there, seemingly waiting for you. You are no more decided than you were yesterday. What now? Call after wrestling with it for a few moments. You read through Amanda's email a few times, then sit and stare at your computer for a while. While the memory of that uncomfortable conversation makes you feel newly embarrassed and self-conscious, part of you is also encouraged by the fact that she cared enough to get back to you at all. Sitting in front of your computer, you start to question things like whether or not Amanda sent you this number out of pity, or perhaps some sense of obligation having listened to you. You question her motives and the validity of her concern and whether or not you think seeing a therapist would even be helpful. Yet almost unconsciously you reach for the phone, and before you realize what's happening, you're listening to the therapist's line ring. Before you can bring yourself to hang up, you're listening to the slightly clinical but not unpleasant voice of the receptionist ask how she can help you. I'd like to make an appointment with the doctor, you stammer out. The conversation is quick and not nearly as unpleasant as you were fearing, and quicker than you can say Freudian slip, you have scheduled an appointment. Quicker than you realize, apartment day rolls around. What do you do? Ooh, we're starting to get. Oh, I just thought of going to crawl back into bed. I do like how, even though you're making progress and wanting to go, depression is still there in the background, ready to set you back to the beginning at any point. Because it's very true. I'm gonna go because I want to go through this therapy. You have your first session with a new therapist, Dr. Susan Melville, a tall woman in her mid-40s with a disarming demeanor and patient eyes, with the start of the slightest smile lines. She makes you feel comfortable fairly easily, which is a pleasant surprise after all of your anxiety over the apartment. As you leave, you make a second appointment and are still skeptical about the first one. You spent some time on a therapist's couch, finding motivation to continue your sessions. Okay. Hey, that's not bad. It's early Wednesday morning. Lately, you've developed a nasty habit of waking up 10 minutes before your alarm, and unfortunately today is no exception. You lay in bed, each minute ticking closer before wake-up time, passing a swelling wave of ever-encroaching dread. Sooner than you would like, your alarm blares with a caustic inevitability. You frantically pound the snooze button and then retreat under your blankets, as if the warmth of your comforter can shield you from the passage of time. You almost always have difficulty rising from bed, but today the simple task seems nothing short of words. Here, I'll let Google say it for you.
Herculean.
Thank you, Google. Herculean. Okay. Alright. Oops. I don't know what that's about. That's weird. Huh. Yeah, head into work. Despite the fact your body is actively fighting you literally every step of the way, you somehow manage to drag yourself out of bed and make your way into work. Surprisingly, you end up being about 5 minutes late. Nobody seems to notice or care. Though when you woke up, the simple act of being even physically present at your job seemed like an impossibility. You're surprised at your own ability to push through on the day, or indeed even really coping with the dullness of your day job. You seem to have slipped into a trance-like state of automation, and time is nevertheless passing. Eventually, the end of the day rolls around and you head home utterly exhausted, at the same time almost proud of yourself for sticking it out. Huh. Your thoughts run too fast for you to come to a satisfying conclusion on any one of them. The room is completely silent, but the silence has given way to a static noise rattling around inside your head. Your heart beats loudly and it's beating a little too fast. You worry that if you focus too strongly on your racing heart, you'll freak yourself out hard enough that you actually have a heart attack. You have to be awake in 8 hours anyway. You know that your work is much worse than only a few hours of sleep. Doesn't matter, go anyway. Get out of bed and head to your desk, laying it in bed with nothing but your thoughts to keep you company. It makes you feel like you're going insane. The harshness of the light coming from the screen makes you squint as you turn it on. Despite how you find yourself in the exact situation, there have been so many nights lately just like this. You begin reading a news story, and online of yours IMs you. Can't sleep again, I see. Yeah, can't sleep again. Thinking too much? You guessed it. Want to talk about it? You end up talking with Attic for quite some time about how you've been feeling. He's always been easy to talk to about personal matters, and the added security of talking to him online, being able to rethink what you say and type it out before you and check it before you send it out helps gather your thoughts, and you find it less intimidating to type it all into a prompt than say it out loud. I don't want to be the guy who thinks that they can diagnose something because I read a Wikipedia article, but it sounds like you might have depression. I think you should talk to somebody about it. You pause. Are you really that transparent, or is it you've gotten used to talking about it at this point? Your insomnia makes you a little paranoid, but you shake it off. You can do some research and see if there's a good doctor near. It's not like you're going back to sleep anytime soon anyway. Might as well do something while you're awake. Actually, I have someone. I know people kind of suck at understanding this stuff sometimes, so there's nothing wrong with having depression. You wouldn't be ashamed if you have bronchitis or something, so there's no reason to be ashamed if your brain is a little sick instead. Spend a few more minutes talking to Attic about your therapy and your feelings. He's actually pretty supportive. You're able to find that you have a confidant that understands your illness and is willing to lend an ear and having nights like this. A little while later, you fall back into your kitten in tow, and find it easier to drift off to sleep. Even in therapy, you know you're gonna have nights like these sometimes, and it's good to know you have a friend who will help you carry through them. Chilly Thursday night, and you've just gotten off work. Feels like one of the longest days you've had to face in recent memory. Even though nothing exceptional had happened, a ton of minor things kept going wrong. Coworkers had tried your patience throughout the day. You've considered leaving work early, but the last thing you wanted to do was deal with your insufferable boss on top of anything else. Honestly, my bosses are pretty great. You're lost in thought on the commute home, and your feelings of frustration both with your life and with the world around you has built up in minor annoyances, like someone bumping into you really hard as they walk by. By the time you get home, you're exhausted. And remember, feelings like these were the ones you identified as a negative feedback loop with your therapist. These pent-up feelings that are dying down are eating at you. Reach out to someone. Who do you call? Alex. Oh. She's the most supportive. He's rude. She's judgy. She's supportive. Called supportive. You dial Alex, who picks up only after 2 rings. You ask if she has time to talk, and she tells you she's just hanging around in her PJs and is actually somewhat bored for once due to being caught up in her coursework. She tries to figure out where to start with how you're feeling, and you're overcome with missing her face. You ask if she feels like grabbing some dinner, and you notice her barely contained surprise and delight on the other end of the line. You meet about a half hour later at an inexpensive diner not far from your apartment. While the food is not great, you're surprised with how much your mood seems to have elevated in her company. Exactly. Healthy relationships, man. Someone who's not going to judge you for calling and opening up about something. This is why you called Alex. What? Sorry, this stuff makes me happy. Well, at your first, you were extremely hesitant to talk about your job situation out of fear of being burdensome or sounding like a whiner. You see her listening intently to you with whatever seems to be genuine concern. After winding down with the beer, you cautiously open up a bit more about your feelings surrounding your job and how it how drained it leaves you feeling. This is pretty accurate with me too, actually. You feel like you're simply existing, stalling days of your life for no real purpose. You surprise even yourself when you start talking about how frustrated and what? Prevented or hindered the progress of. Okay. So how hindered you feel by your job. About how you used to feel passionately about things and like all your energy and capacity is for creativity is getting leached out of you every day you work. You can't remember how long it's been since you've been externalized such raw emotion. The two of you spend several hours in that diner. Long after your half-eaten food was cleared, the waitress stopped refilling your coffee cups. As you're about to leave, a sudden wave of self-consciousness washes over you as you suddenly feel incredibly awkward. Then Alex stands up and grabs you tightly around your waist. You realize that short of boring her with what seems like seemingly endless rants, she seems simply happy to have gotten the chance to spend real time with you. It's been by all accounts incredibly too long since you've allowed yourself to open up like this. There's almost a palpable feeling of closeness you allow yourself to hold on to as you go to bed that night. Oh, look at that. Oh, this is so good. Ugh. I miss you, geek freak. You're a good human. Alright. Oh, Greek freak. Let me check. Yep, Greek freak. That's what it was. It's an utterly nondescript. All the options. Okay. It's an utterly nondescript Wednesday afternoon. The type of afternoon that would completely fade from memory unless you had made an active effort to preserve it. As has become routine on Wednesdays, you are sitting on the couch in Dr. Melville's office. To your mild surprise, she begins the session by breaking her characteristic therapist silence and begins speaking up right away. I wanted to start by thinking it's great that you decided to come see me. I think it's an incredibly important first step, she begins. I wanted to make some time to talk to you about the possibility of supplementing or substituting your treatment with medication. Mention of medication makes your ears perk up and your heart rate start increasing. Many people find adding pharmacological element to their treatment can be very helpful, and some even prefer to take drugs, completely eliminating their need to visit a therapist at all. Completely agree. Medication can be done right, but sometimes it can be done wrong. It can give you extra side effects, so just be careful. Providing you rely on your support network, Alex is your support network. Not your brother, not your mom. Alright? I get that they're a part of your life, but Alex is your strong support network. As well as Attic. Attic is a good reference too. I would prefer if we kept talking. Should you choose to start medication, I can monitor your progress and adjust as needed, but the choice is ultimately yours. I just wanted to run the option by you to gauge what your thoughts what the matter would be. Accept the prescription as a way to manage your therapy. Let's try drugs instead of therapy. Augment. Let's just Google about and then do GMENT. Increase. Add to. Okay. We don't want to. I don't know. As a therapist, I would want you to augment But like, no more than thought of messing with your brain. Yeah, this is me too. Just stick with the therapy. The whole therapy thing has overwhelmed you, and this is the final straw. You're done with both. So it's take both drugs, no drugs but no therapy, therapy but no drugs, and then neither. That's fair. They provided all the options. I think I would do drugs instead of therapy. I get that it's important, but like I also am an introvert, and taking time out of my day, like 2 hours, because let's say it's a half hour to drive somewhere and get to an appointment, and then a half hour to drive back. That's 2 hours out of my free time out at home when I could be covered in blankets and watching my favorite thing with my partner. They want me to see both. Yeah, I see that they want me to see both, but I'm worried about the side effects. Aren't I? And I'm worried about. Arrives with his wife, so he's been traveling. I'm freaking. Ugh. Ugh. Samuel, what's. Oh, nothing new? How long are you planning on singing? Oh. Ugh. Yeah. Emotionally, this looks at you from across the table, unsatisfied with her husband's reasoning. I don't think it's normal for someone of your age to have no path. Ooh. Ooh, that's wrong. Ooh, that's very incorrect. You need to think about it hard, or you never make anything of yourself. You. Malcolm interjects. Mom, come on. Ooh, that's rough. Ooh, that's hard stuff. I'm just gonna check the recording, make sure it's still. Yep, sure is. Okay, good. Let me check. Music here, see where we're at. Okay, we're still good. It's a rainy night. You're hurrying through the rain to Alex's apartment at her behest. Though your pace is quick, the rain is steadily soaking up your pant legs as you traverse the town, and it's darkening your already poor mood. The call came while you were at home after a day of dealing with abnormally frustrating people. You spent the afternoon trying to unwind and get some work on your project done. Alex called and interrupted one of you're trying to make progress, you get frustrated not making progress loops, and you never feel real. Yeah. You're frustrated about not making progress, and that frustration hinders your progress, and then you can't do it more. That's an annoying loop. Hold on, I'm gonna. Give me a second here. Alright. You hear a knock on your door, and on the third knock, you hear a voice call from further in the apartment to come in. You step across. Oh, Alex. You could barely make out Alex emerging from the hallway, clad in what looks like a robe with bare skin of her legs peering out underneath. Why don't you come in and warm up? She asks in her designated, slightly cheesy, sexy voice. Why don't you come in and warm up? Okay, yeah, it makes sense. After a beat of silence, she states more naturally, my roommates are out of town this week, so I thought we might be able to have a little fun while they're away. You appreciate her affection, but you're too wrapped up in your own negative. Try to unwind with her first. You're amazing. Let's have a drink together. Hoping this will give you the push you need to get into the mood. You go into the kitchen to get 2 drinks. What should we toast to, she asks, thinking of passing up the cheesy to us option. You say what's on your mind to tonight. Two of you give cheers, conversations, flirtation. Two of you find yourselves in the bedroom shortly after. You find that you're having trouble getting things into things physically, but remember that it's diminishing arousal is a problem of your medication. You hope that you were part of the population that wouldn't be affected by it, but it seems that's not the case. However, you're still able to enjoy the closeness, and you fall asleep together happily. I'm gonna try looking for another job. I think that would be good. To boot up your computer, navigate through Craigslist. Despite that, clicking on the section, scrolling past, you're rather convinced you'll never hear back from these places, but the act of trying to change your situation instead of stewing on it actually feels quite freeing. Find a way to... And I bet that we're actually gonna aimlessly get a better job. Because we put in some effort. Hey, you there? I need to talk to someone about something. You feel like you're getting nowhere. Answer attic. Feel like why not take a break and help out a friend? Oh, you're good. I feel like I just got cheated on. The two of you talk for a long time. You lend a shoulder to your friend, give him space to rant and cry, and most importantly, to be able to voice his inner turmoil. You give him your full attention. Absolutely. See, being there for a friend helps you. Alright? Talk to him through what his best options are for what they're doing next to keep things from being rash. The two of you decide that it's best for him to sleep on it before doing anything. Exhausted, he departs for bed and thanks you for being there for him. Don't focus on a project. People are more important than projects. Just saying. Deep in thought. Maybe it's time to no. That's the depression talking. Get off meds. Continue taking your medications. That you can't be sure if it's general life that's making you feel better, or that the medication's working. Yeah, it's probably the medication working. And life's getting better because of that. And you're getting in this sliding scale. If you just drop off your medication, that's not gonna help you. It's not really a lesson you'd like to learn the hard way, and the side effects of this are pretty negligible. Right, yeah. You're at Alex's apartment, wide awake. She begins sleeping. And as she's sleeping peacefully beside you, hold on, I'm gonna sneeze real quick. I just paused the recording, it's okay. I didn't want to have to yell into your ears with my sneeze. You've added... Oh, she lays peacefully beside you. She fell asleep hours ago and you've been laying there unable to shut your brain up long enough to fall asleep. You added the feelings of insecurity about your relationship to the rest of the noise in your head keeping you up that night. It was a kind of a tense fight between the two of you. You arrived after a stressful day at work, and as you made dinner together, you barely said a word. You were stuck in your own head and had a really hard time being present with her as your thoughts turned into all these ways you'd like to deflect being good at person and beating yourself up mentally for each one. She told you she could tell you were in one of your moods and that she wouldn't push you, but missed talking to you on the the two of you sat on the couch together. She wanted to tell you you want to tell her how much you love her, but couldn't come up with the words to do so. She stirs up in her sleep and squints as you lay there next to her now. You trace your fingers across her arm just lightly, not enough to wake her. You still haven't explained your depression to her or that you've been taking medication. It's starting to feel more like it's a secret you're keeping instead of something that yeah. I thought you would have told her that already. She stirs in her sleep and squints as she opens her eyes. With the confusion that comes with waking up, she asks if you're awake and if everything's okay. Tell her about your situation. Alex sits up, rubbing sleep out of her eyes. For the rest of the night, you lay side by side, holding hands, and you tell her everything. You tell her how it's more than just feeling sad sometimes, how you feel trapped by your own mind, how sometimes you feel nothing at all. She listens the entire time, occasionally asking questions about how this or that works, and asking how to explain something sometimes. She squeezes your hand and tells you she understands. She's sad you didn't tell her sooner. I think of this as two women having this conversation, by the way. It's not me. I think of a woman and her girlfriend having a conversation. You start convincing yourself that she knows everything. She's going to leave. There's no way she can handle. How can I help? What do you need me to do? She asks. You think for a second, and the only answer you can come up with, honestly, I don't know. I wish I knew how to fix this, but I don't know that you can do anything. I think it's just something I have to live with. She looks at you with sad eyes before kissing you on the forehead. Then I'll live with it with you. I don't know how you could possibly love me. She rolls over and wraps her arms. You don't need to. Just I know that I do. Just know that I do. Ooh. It's Friday night, you're laying across your bed feeling pathetic. Oh wait, play with your cat. Okay. You're home. Boot up Netflix to distract yourself, but with frustration. Okay. As you were leaving work tonight, a group of coworkers asked if you wanted to join them for drinks. Nope. Feeling antisocial, you declined. Yeah, exactly. You declined. You have a bit of a habit of doing this. You convince yourself that it was weird and terrible to hang out with those that will end up in a disappointment, so you just deny things easily. That's fair. Now, however, you find yourself alone at home. Your brain has begun telling you how pathetic and sad you are. You just can't figure out why you can't just go out and meet people and enjoy yourself. At the same time, you also feel like no one could possibly want to hang out with you if they really knew you because of how dull and weird you are anyway. You try and your typical boot up Netflix to distract yourself. I do that too, but with frustration builds, you realize you have to do something else with your night, like record YouTube videos about Depression Quest. Anything else to take your mind off of how awful and lonely you feel right now. Don't remind me, brain. That's not very nice of you. What do you do? Honestly, instinctively, my first thing, I know there's a cat there, but my first instinct is call Alex. Not drink. Definitely not drink. Definitely not go out somewhere alone. See if Attic is online. And I get that that's a person, but that's a virtual friend. That's not a real person you can spend cuddle time with or something, you know? And if somebody's here, you can call Alex but play with your cat at the same time. But if you play with your cat, you can't call Alex. So I'm going to go with call Alex. You dial Alex's number, figuring that you could spend some time with her instead of being cooped up in your apartment alone. Handful of times goes to voicemail, you know it's not uncommon for her to go out. But end up calling again 15 minutes later, still responds. You imagine her, she's out with her friends. Much like you would be tonight if you weren't horrible at socializing. Why didn't she invite you? Oh, there's this path here. Have you just said no too many times? You begin thinking that maybe it would just be better if she met someone tonight. No! I feel like a constant killjoy. Why can't you just be normal? The next morning she calls back and told me she left her phone in class. Spent a long, boring night at her apartment too. You feel horribly embarrassed about how mistaken you were about your assumptions the night before. This is actually a really well written game. This is very accurate to depression, to be fair. Okay. You just arrived at Alex's apartment. You're happy to finally see her after a week of absence due to your schedules not lining up to work and school. You hug her in the doorway but she breaks away sooner than normal. Oh, she's breaking up with you. Oh, no, okay. Okay, I'm scared. Okay. I'm anxious. All right. There's something I was hoping to talk to you about. She says, you worry instantly that this could be a blindsided breakup conversation due to the sudden shift of tone. That's exactly what I was thinking. Anxiety. But she quickly smiles and puts you at ease. No, it's nothing bad, I promise. She leans over the couch and sits on the other side of it, facing you. So, I hope this doesn't freak you out, and if you feel like things are moving too fast, tell me. We've had a lot of weeks like this, and they really suck, and I was thinking I'd ask, since things are so strong with us, maybe moving in together. Oh, yes, please. Oh, yes, please. Please do this. This is good for you. Okay. It takes a few seconds for this thing to think in. Tell her you want to, but you have concerns. Tell her you don't think it's a good idea. Decide to move in regardless of your worries. Yup. Push all of those worries down and agree to move in. The first few weeks feel amazing, but you quickly find out that your choice was not a wise one. Trying to hide your struggles with your condition with your partner becomes more and more impossible. Wait, why is it? So I say it feels further away than ever before. Ugh. I'm starting to get. This is being too much reading for me. Okay, let's see. It's December and you've returned to your parents' house to celebrate holidays with your family. Christmas Eve, snowfall. As you sit down to dinner, you can't help but notice being surrounded by family. The overly kitschy. Poor taste and excessive garnishes. Yeah, okay, that's fair. Atmosphere. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, mom's decorations. Have actually made you feel relaxed and almost comfortable. Family time. No. While your dad sits at the head of the table drinking bow. His wife Karen is there too. You've always gotten along with. As you thought, fully munch away at your turkey, listening to conversations around you, your thoughts drift back over the past few months. You're playing in your head some of your best and worst moments. It feels like all these things come to your head. Suddenly, a flurry of a relationship, professional anxiety, social stress, omnipresent sense of weight seems I've just recently become aware of. You're drawn out of your reverie. Aha! The state of being pleasantly lost in one's thought. I always thought it was revelry. Revelry definition. Reverie, but not. Yeah, okay. That's why I got those words mixed up. That's why I didn't know why it didn't fit the situation. Comment made by sitting at the table, suddenly immensely glad for the chance to be able to ignore everything for an evening and not having to try and struggle to explain yourself. How are you doing these days? Your mom asks you pointedly. It's such a simple question. Well, think about the past few months. Soul-crushing mundanity of your job started to catch up with you. There's just a sense of exhaustion. You start to find yourself less and less willing to be able to spend 8 hours a day to find it, and you find your job unrewarding. Some people have talked to you to encourage you to seek out a new, more meaningful employment. Lately, you've lacked the energy to take part in anything enjoyable outside of work hours, and your life is quickly becoming a vastly unfulfilling cycle of work, sleep, work. Ooh, that's rough. That stuff is disgusting. I get that. Things with Alex have become more and more strained. The two of you have had several conversations about your situation. She's indicated numerous times she's willing to be understandable and help you as best she can, but she feels like you're not taking equal steps to improve yourself. She's worried that you love being miserable more than you love her. Ooh, that is not a fun statement to hear. In spite of obvious frustration, you can't seem to leave your comfort zone and set aside your own self-loathing enough to make a concerted effort, like concentrated, is that what that means? Arranged, yeah, like a centered arrangement to make things better, and you find yourself saying some feeling emotional. You've considered over various coffee outings and phone calls. You tell them you feel like you're losing more. I know that's supposed to be M-O-R-E. That's right, whatever. He seems very concerned. Poring over the events in the past few months, it's difficult to not feel a profound sense of loss. What's worse, part of your brain is still acutely aware how badly you've managed to mess things up. And that just makes you feel worse. Most days you feel detached, like you're simply watching your body go through its motions. You desperately wish you could regain control, but you seem unable to force yourself to take any of the necessary steps. Things are fine, I guess, you tell your mother across the table. Your voice sounds so weak, you doubt anyone present believes you, least of all yourself. We really wanted to thank you for taking the time to play Depression Quest. We realize it might not have been the most enjoyable ever, or even the easiest. Yeah, I actually definitely got kind of like exhausted at points reading about all this sadness in life. I've been doing my best to try and improve myself too, so hearing this kind of downed me a little bit. But I have plans to play games with friends right after this, so I'll be alright. If you'd like to contribute to the developers and to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, here's where you may do so. And if we want to, I will actually open this up. After credits, I'll open a new tab so we can see that, and then we can open this up as well. And then we'll open this up as well, and we'll go through all three of these. Alright, like Depression itself, Depression Quest does not have an end, really. There is no neat resolution to depression. It was important to us that Depression Quest's own resolution reflect that. Instead of a tidy ending, we wanted to just provide a series of outlooks to take moving forward. After all we can really do with depression is just keep moving forward. At the end of the day, it's our outlook and support from people just like you that make a real difference in the world. And that was Depression Quest. We're going to go through the credits and stuff now. Maybe. Okay, well here's the Suicide Prevention Hotline. And you can be there, you can help connect, follow up, learn more. You can go here to donate for things. Let's move on for that. I'm not sure what this is. I feel like this is the learn more about donating. Maybe this is the group here. Either way, that's alright, you know. I'm not really sure what this is, but I wanted to just shine a light on depression. Yeah, so here's more depression research, who we are, what we do. Negative perception of depression. I think I messed up there, so let's try credits. Yeah. Piano player is this. I think there's some music that should have been playing. Thank you for being willing to play games that are meant to be something other than simply fun. Of course. And I might be able to actually take a picture of this here. This might be good, actually, if I can. I'll end it here, actually, and I hope you guys have a nice rest of your night. There is hopefully some book that will go right before this because I want to give you some kind of up. I'll give you another bedtime story right before this, and I'll schedule it to end a bit before, so people can schedule it ahead of time. But if you need to talk to someone, we have a Discord server which nobody is talking in, but you'll be able to reach me there if you watch or just honestly comment on it. If you wanted to find a way to contact someone, somehow you'll find a way to do it. And I am here to be supportive if you wish to be listened to. And until we have another more serious conversation again, I wish you a pleasant night, and I'll talk to you later. Alright. Goodbye for now.